Hello and welcome to the Expat Roundtable, where expats located in different parts of the world share their thoughts and opinions about living life abroad. My name is James Thomas, and I'm coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Inez. Inez, how you doing over there in Switzerland, right?
Yes. Hi, James. How are you? Yeah, I'm over here in Zurich. How are you doing today?
In Zurich, how's the weather today?
Do you know what it is? We are in the middle. I want to say, are we in the middle? Like we're in autumn, and it has been absolutely beautiful here. So today it's really gorgeous and sunny out. Just a little bit of a chill, but not too much. So yes, the weather's been fantastic.
You're just showing off, right? You're just showing off.
Dude, I think because this year is the first. I was here last autumn, but it went by so fast, and this year I'm really appreciating it. So yeah.
So how do you get your house so quiet this time?
Well, the kids aren't here.
Oh, you kicked them out. You fired them. You fired the kids, right?
Yeah. My husband's taking them out for a little while to the playground, enjoying this weather, and I'm here inside.
Well, that's cool. Well, we also joined by another a person that I interviewed for my show, Four Seas One Family, Dre. And Dre, he just moved back to the States from Germany. What's up, Dre?
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Good. Tell everybody about you.
Well, like you just said, I just moved from Europe back to the States maybe 4 months ago, in the middle of the summer. I'm in the DMV area, really close to Washington, D.C.
Oh, and the battleground.
The battleground, ground zero almost. But I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I had some reservations first, about coming back, but since we've been back, man, it's been awesome.
Awesome. And you came back well. You got your kids adjusting well to being back in the States, or what?
No, they had a hard time at first. They're just starting to come around. Yeah.
Coming around.
Yeah, that's a, oh my God, that's a whole nother story. I don't even think we have time. But I mean, let's just say they had to adjust, being back in the States and kind of seeing how different and realizing how different, it is being, in the US as opposed to being, an expat living in another country. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, both my oldest, my youngest daughter, she didn't care as long as she has princess stuff. But no, my oldest two, man, they had a pretty, I don't want to use the word difficult, but let's say we had some talks. We had some long talks.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool having, your guys and, getting together and, with this, we have different time zones. And myself being in Taiwan and Zurich and in Washington, D.C., it's ground zero. But today's topic is what is acceptable. I think I said what is acceptable in one culture that may be offensive in another culture, and we lived all over the place. I've lived in, Saudi Arabia, of course, mainland China, Taiwan, parts of Europe, and Inez, also did her military service all over the place. And we want to talk about some things that we find, that we've encountered that, well, we may do in our home nation, but not acceptable in the nations that we've been to, or we can compare other things that are related to other things that may be good in one culture and not the other. Anybody want to start off with their first one? Because I can start at anybody's. Let Inez go. Ladies first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for that. So sure. Yeah, actually over here in Switzerland, well, I'm going to start with Switzerland because that's where I am now. Let's see, one of the things that is, I'm trying to think, or let's say,
how about with like with the way people greet each other over there? Any special ways how people greet each other over there?
Yeah, well, everybody does say, they'll say hello to everybody. And it's really funny that you said that, because today I was just reading about in this book, I can't think what it's called off the top of my head, but yes, everybody will say hi to everyone. And apparently when you go out to a dinner party, or if you are in a group of people, you need to say hello to each and every person. It's not like you can just do a generic hello, like, hi, how are you? You have to go and say hello and introduce yourself to each and every person at the dinner party before you go get a drink. So that's one thing. Or dinner party, or you made that look like like that was really crazy. But yeah, and it's really funny. I started asking around, like just trying to find different things that people found that were acceptable in their country that is not acceptable here. And it's really funny. I got a really big response. Everybody has something to say about things like that, So some of the things here, Swiss people really like it quiet. So like, and rules, and, so when it comes to sound, everything kind of shuts down at 10 o'clock. So everything, any noises after 10 p.m., people will complain. People will call the police. Another thing is, even before 10 o'clock, if you have your kids outside playing or on the bus or on the tram, there have been people who have kind of been shushed at by Swiss people for being too loud, which with me and my 3 kids, kind of sometimes that's not going to happen, because, when we're going somewhere, we're pretty loud. No matter we're in the park, we're in the shop, we're just all 3 of us, it's loud. So I haven't had anybody shush me before, but I'm ready for it. So
remember, you're representing those crazy Americans with their loud kids jumping all over the place.
Exactly. That's what I'm just like. I'm just living up to the cultural stereotype. It's just being loud with the kids and shouting their names. They're shouting for me, even if we're standing right in front of each other.
Wow. Have you gone to stuff like that during when you were in Germany?
Yeah, actually, I mean, Switzerland, of course, is it borders Germany. And so some of the things she just said is I've experienced that being especially in Germany. They have quiet time after 8 o'clock. You are supposed to be in your house watching television, being very, very, very quiet. Wow. On Sunday, I don't know if in Zurich it's like that, but on Sunday you do not do any yard work outside. Yeah.
I saw that. So what I had done is I had asked the mom group here, and I had actually read that in a book, like no mowing lawns on Sunday. And I thought that somebody had just posted that to kind of make a point of like, you're not going to do any work. But yeah, people have actually had the police called on them for mowing their lawn on Sunday. What do you know? Why? Do you know the history? Like, what was the history of that behind that in Germany?
I don't know, but and I was in Germany twice, but before I was single, so I lived in an apartment. But this last time I was there, we had a house and I had a yard, and I think what was it, like two years ago, we came to the States and we were in the States for 2.5 weeks, and when I came back, the leaves had fell. And so we came back that Saturday. So that Sunday morning, I went out to blow, I got my blower. I went out to just blow the leaves from in front of my door, and a man on the next street over, on the next street, not on the next street over, walked up to me, and I thought he was just walking up to say hello or something. And he really, he went into that.
He wailed into you.
Oh yeah, he tore into me, and I just let it happen because I was in the wrong. He chewed into me like, you Americans, you think you can just do what you want when you want. It's Sunday, it's quiet time, it's family time, and you should have done it during the week. And I tried to explain like, I wasn't here. He said, well, no, but then you do that tomorrow. And I was like, okay, okay. Yeah, but yeah, they're very serious about flights. Now on the bus, on public transportation, not so much German kids, are allowed on the bus, but designated quiet time, quiet hours, they take that very seriously.
Wow. Yeah, because it's different cultures, different things. Because out here in Taiwan, when people they get social and things can get loud. Can get loud here in Taiwan. People they get over ambitious and trying to be over polite, like about paying bills and stuff like that. You have people almost fighting to pay the bill for face and all that stuff. But it's different in Korea, though. In Korea, man, like especially.
Wait, when you say pay the bill.
Pay the bill for the dining, I should say.
Oh, okay. Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's a thing of
check there.
Yeah.
That's my type of place.
But it does has its limits. Maybe you pay this time and the next time someone else, but you got to share that responsibility around. But it's all a saving face thing, and it can get fun sometimes. And I've seen people like yell at each other to pay the bills. Like I'm paying the bill, whatever. But and that also comes with a high degree of drinking alcoholic beverages too. But if you go to like Korea, especially on the MRT or in Japan, people generally are quite quiet and things like that. And it does goes from generation to generation, because you mentioned, Dre, that the younger kids in Germany can be quite loud, right?
Yeah. I mean, just as when I say loud, I mean typical teenagers,
right?
They get on the bus. School. Germany don't have many school buses, so students typically take public transportation to school. So it's you have a bunch of high school kids, middle aged teenagers. They get on the bus and they're doing normal teenage things.
Oh, okay. So they're getting rowdy. Let's flip over to something else. What about formal gatherings? How do people generally greet each other? Because I want to flip this over to Inez, because I understand that in social gatherings where you are, people really don't waste time with, how would you say, talk of the weather or stuff like that. It's usually get to the point, because I've read that something. Is that true or what?
Well, James, I have 3 kids, so I don't go to any sort. I don't have any. I'm never in a formal situation these days. So no, but even I would. It is true. It's kind of when you are in any a social situation, even like waiting for the kids at school, or when I've gone to, on the rare occasion that I've gone to like a school party, or like a school function. There's not really any small chit chat. Like, people don't do the small talk. They don't really, and it's not, some people can get offended by that. I always just thought people just didn't speak English, or, like sometimes people, if they only know a little bit of English, they won't really want to put themselves out there because it's the fear of making a mistake when they're communicating with you. So it could be that. Well, that's what I like to think. So I'm like, oh, they're not talking to me because they can't speak English. I can't speak German. So, but yeah, there's not really a lot of small talk. They don't do a lot of small talk.
And German was about the same, or what, Trey?
No, actually, most of my neighbors in Germany, or even people on the if you met someone in a cafe or something, they wanted to speak to you. Like, I had some really great conversations, living in Germany. I'm not gonna say they were maybe they're more friendly, but they definitely engage you. But going back to your original question about gatherings, so one of the things that I noticed when I first got to Germany, or when I first went to Germany in the or towards the end of the 90s. And I started having, meeting, hanging around more German people. When you say if a gathering starts at 8, you come at 8. Like sometimes in the States, there's a thing called fashionably late.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist, you know. That doesn't exist in Germany. Like, you know, you don't come at 8:15 or 8:20, you know, unless you call ahead and say, hey, we're running late. You know, there is no window. There's no time window. You know, if everyone's going to be there at 8, then you come there. You know, you get there.
That's so cool about time. You know, it's like the Germans are very precise and on time, and you're the second person that confirmed that. I mean, in some cultures, if you come on time, like, okay, let's talk about Brazil, for example. If you live in Brazil, if you come on time, it's a miracle, because when people say I'm gonna be at 8 o'clock, that's just a confirmation that you are coming. But
you're going.
yeah, but you can be up to an hour late, and that's still
right.
You know, that's just the way it is, right? I mean,
yeah.
Or
I mean, it's kind of like that, you know, in the U.S. too. I mean, I had a barbecue, you know, 2 weeks ago, and you know, people, I told everybody out, you know, get here about, you know, 6 o'clock, and people really didn't start showing up at 6:45. So, and it's not like, you know, I wasn't offended by it, but in Germany, yeah, you know, they would take offense to that. You know, if you said, hey, I'm gonna be there at 6 and you show up at 6:45, you know, yeah.
In some cultures, like I think Armenian area, like if you come too punctual, like say to a dinner, people feel like you're trying to be greedy, you know, to eat all the food and stuff like that. So you got to be fashionably late, and that's very interesting, you know. There's another. You want to add to that, Inez? Because there's something else I want to jump about.
Yeah, no, the same is over here. I mean, the Swiss are very efficient, very punctual, very reliable. So like if something starts at 6, it starts at 6, not 5:58. You know, it starts at 6 o'clock. And you know, you just kind of adjust. But it's really funny because I've always been a stickler for time, even before I've moved here. I've always been a stickler for time. And so things like that, I don't mind. But then I do find it funny, like, you know, when I show up somewhere and they don't open the door, or like, you know, you just got to go in at the time I said it was going to start. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to add.
Is this like a house? Are you saying they won't open the door when you show up?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You know, I went to a conference one time and it started at 6. I got there. It was like winter time. We got there about 10 minutes early because me and my husband, like I said, we are like, we've got that military mentality when it's like, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. So we always show up somewhere like on time, or a little bit early before it starts. So yeah, we were there and I thought they would let us in because it was wintertime, it was cold. We knocked on the door and the teacher was like, no, it starts at 6. We're like, it's 6:50, like it's 5:55. They were like, yeah, it starts at 6. Like, all right, we'll just stand out here with the kids in the dark. So yeah. So I mean, those things, like those are the things that I could, like, you know, that are, when it comes to being like a stickler about it. But like, there's so many good things with everything, like going on time, like the public transport. Everybody here loves the public transport because it always shows up on time when it says it's going to do. And if it is a minute late, it's really funny because there might be on the rare occasion that it's late, you know, maybe by a minute or 2 minutes. You will see if you're on the platform, you can see like people are getting antsy because they're just like, it was supposed to be here. Like, where's this train? You know, where is it? So you kind of, you adjust to that kind of mentality. So.
Yeah, you because you're willing to adjust. The reason why I stressed a little bit about social gathering, you know, certain things that we do physically may offend people. You know, like in some cultures out here in Asia, like in Thailand, you know, Americans, we like to, you see a cute little kid, we pat him on the head. You don't do that in Thailand, you know, because it's considered, the head is considered the soul of the person, basically, you know, the uniform factor of life, you know. And, you know, you have these Americans going to another culture, or for example, people from India, especially older people from India, like when they see cute kids, it can be a stranger's kid, you know, they see a cute kid in the street, they'll come up to the kid and like pacify the child. Oh, how so cute, you know? And I read a story about, matter of fact, I got it from an article, I forgot what's that site name, a group of elderly people from India went to the UK and they saw a cute little kid on the street, and the two elderly Indian people ran up to the kids and picked up the kid and started kissing the kids. Oh, how cute! And the mother, you know, British person, ran over and was like, thought they was kidnapping the kid. You know, it's like all kinds of weird things like that. Or
it was like that in Korea though. Koreans would. It's funny when you said that about, you know, Taiwan.
No, this is Indian people.
Oh,
yeah,
Indian.
yeah.
Because in Korea they seem to be the opposite. They would pick our kids up and touch their hair and sometimes walk off with them. You know, we restaurant. They would, especially my 9-year-old now, when he was like 2, they would just, you know, a waitress would just pick him up and take him into the back to show him, you know.
Look what I found.
Right, yeah, like, oh my God, look at this.
It moves, it talks, and you don't need batteries.
Right, and when we first got there, it took us a little while to kind of get comfortable with that. Like, you know, we used to, you know, we used to chase behind, like, oh no, you don't just, you know, walk into a door and we don't know where that door is leading to. But it took us a minute to get, you know, used to that.
How about your cute kids? Because you got some cute little kids over there, and how do the people adapt to seeing these little cute dolls?
Yeah, well, do you know what? We moved here when they were, well, you know, not babies anymore. Like the youngest one was 2.5 when we moved here. But no, people are, you know, they're friendly, but they're not really, you know, they'll talk to the kids. And then, you know, now that the kids know a little bit of German, so, you know, when they start talking back in German, whoever they're, you know, we're talking to kind of is impressed and will be like, oh, start speaking more. And then the kids look at me like, what? And I'm like, don't look at me. I don't speak German. So, but yeah, when I was in the Middle East, yeah, that's something that a lot of expat moms would kind of, or it would make some expat moms feel uncomfortable. Because if you have, what, you know, I don't even want to say like just people from the Middle East, because in the Middle East, everyone's from everywhere, you know, but if you come from a culture where family is, I don't even want to say really important, but yeah, like, you know, because I don't want to like, I'm just going to stop talking. I'm sorry, I'm not explaining myself good. Yeah, but in the Middle East, it would not be uncommon for somebody to come up to your baby and to touch it, to kiss it, to, you know, want to hold it and talk to you about it. Right. So, and, you know, that could happen at any time. Well, and it didn't matter what background they were from.
Yeah, me being from New York City, I'd be like, you know, the guards would come up all of a sudden, you know, and
yeah,
you know, you'd be like, you know, but, you know, sometimes there are times that you do have to be cautious and stay aware, but be aware of where you are too, and the curiosity of people. When I was in mainland China, people would like pull the hairs on my leg to figure out, you know, yeah, you know, and, you know, I have to turn off the ghetto mode. Yeah. Or I was studying a Chinese instrument called the pipa. And it looks like a guitar, but you have to hold it a certain way. And my classmate was also, I think, Australian. He held it like a guitar. It's a classical Chinese instrument. And my Chinese teacher could not speak English. A tiny little lady, terrified of her, walked over and used a stick and hit him on the head so hard, on the hand so hard, pow! You know, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And she looked at me and she hit me on my hand. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Just calm down. Don't go off on this lady. But, you know, things like that we have to be aware of. How about simple things like I want to go back to greeting those. Like generally you in formal situation, you shake people's hands and stuff like that. But there's things that we do in our culture to signify certain emotions, like for example, doing this to mean okay, or the peace sign, that you don't do it the opposite way in certain countries, because that means up
something
yours,
else.
it means
Yeah.
something else. Have you encountered anything like that? You know, I mentioned already patting the kids on the head. Are there any things like that you bumped into or know of in your particular location?
I can't think of a gesture though.
Hmm,
That
okay. Because
yeah.
it's so obvious for me living out here that you have to pay so much attention to.
Yeah,
In
I
some,
can imagine. In Germany, I can imagine, like doing the peace sign or doing some gesture that's common in the U.S.
right.
and they just don't know what it means, so they
Hmm.
respond to it.
You know,
I
like,
yeah, I can't think of a gesture that would be offensive though, because like the middle finger means the middle finger over there. So
right.
if I give someone the middle finger,
Hmm.
they know that. But I
Well,
can't. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. Like in some parts of Western Africa, you know, Americans like to do this, right? But that kind of signal there would be using your other middle finger to say to somebody, up your bird. You know, or where I come from, people like to say okay, right? But if you live in parts of South America, Brazil, stuff like that, that's the back of a woman's backside there. You know,
Oh, really?
I always wonder was that because I didn't live long in Europe. I was wondering whether anything like that that expats, especially from say our parts of the woods, should be aware of and things like that. So I just wanted things like that, to know things about that. I like that, I should say. There's a lot of things that we do as Americans, like Americans, for some reason, we over smile. You know, no. Americans, we really over smile, right? And in some places, if you a smile could mean discomfort or you're not satisfied. But if you smile like constantly smile like that in say Korea, people just think you're an idiot.
Really?
Yeah, they just think
Wait, the
Uh-oh.
person
they think you're an
smiling is
idiot.
an idiot, or
No, they
or
think you're an idiot. They just think you know, just smiling all the time. They're like, what's this fool smiling for? You
Mm.
know, it's really weird. These little things that you just don't think about in your own culture, and you know, I don't know what to tell people or how to tell people.
never heard that in Korea.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I stayed there for 3 years. I've never heard the
yeah. I
you know
Were
remember
you
because
smiling a lot?
no, because you know, I did part of
yeah,
elementary school
not
there.
me, but when I
Yeah,
think
I
about
was,
yeah, I know that's really be messed up. I'm like, oh man, everybody thought I was an idiot.
yeah, right. No wonder you had any
Like, they
friends.
didn't tell me that.
How
Yeah, I
about
don't know. But I'm if I'm thinking back, I remember a lot of people just smiling though.
really?
Yeah. I don't remember, and it's been what 5 years since I've been there, but I'm trying to remember. I've never gone any place and people were not smiling.
Uh-huh. Or if you were just sitting someplace and just smiling. How about others like when people are socially like together, like say at dining or any type of special dining habits that you have to be aware of, like a lot of Americans, they come to say Taiwan, China, Japan, and stuff like that, and they get interested in how people use chopsticks to eat here. And
Hmm.
Americans, we have a some Americans have a bad habit of taking chopsticks and poking it into the rice, right? Just leave it stuck in the rice while they're eating, and they don't know, they're not aware that doing something like that is de- uh, only designed for funerals, And here's this American guy eating rice, and all of a sudden he sticks the rice into, excuse me, he sticks the fork, excuse me, the chopsticks into the rice, and it is only used for as a symbolization of part of a funeral ritual. These little type of things that we don't pay attention to, that when we do in someone else's nation, it's going to be quite offensive. Have you come across anything like that?
No, I mean, one, I never learned to use chopsticks.
Oh, bad guy.
I never learned. In fact, my Korean neighbor, or one of my Korean neighbors, when I was there, gave me this set of I wish they were close to me. I would run and get them, but this set of like um practice chopsticks where
Oh,
you hold it. It forces you to hold the chopsticks correctly, like you put
mhm.
your finger through a loop, and and I still couldn't.
Like trainers.
Yeah, like there you go, like chopstick trainers. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Anything like that over there, Inez? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, not with chopsticks.
No, of course.
Do you know, I think that I can't think of anything that would, off the top of my head. I think that I need to be here a little bit longer and probably like embarrass myself by doing something wrong to learn it. Because like, you know, there are like the top few things that you can, you know, the do's and don'ts, but then a lot of things, like, for example, like you're saying with the chopstick and the rice, people aren't going to find out about that until they actually do it.
Until they screw
after
up.
the fact. Yeah. So like, I can't think of anything over here in Switzerland that's, you know, when it comes to eating with etiquette or dining. You had mentioned the hand gestures before. And yeah, I've heard, like, I've experienced that with the okay. Like even when I was in the military, I remember the first place we went overseas and we did the okay sign, and our interpreter at the time was like, no, don't do that. And then told me what it really meant. And that was kind of like my first experience that, like, wait, oh, that doesn't mean the same everywhere? Oh, how young and naive was I, right? But, you know, it really is important when you go to more stricter countries, for example, where if you, like the Middle East, where if you offend somebody, you know, that could lead to, you know, that could have serious consequences. For example, when I was in the UAE, there was a tourist that had come. I think he had come from the UK or something, and he had stuck his middle finger up at it while he was driving. Now, if you ever drive in the Middle East, people cut you off. They drive fast. You have to use all your willpower not to, I mean, you know, not to have some sort of gesture, because you're like, what are you doing? Why you're cutting me off? So yeah, this guy had, you know, expressed his anger by sticking his middle finger up. And so then he had got arrested for that. So there are, like, you know, some places there could be serious consequences for things like that. I mean, like, sticking your middle finger up is rude. You know, where we come from, it's not acceptable. And elsewhere, even if, you know, it could just,
it's just bad.
Yeah. So
it'll stay up on dining too. You know, when you're eating with people, at least here, when you're eating with, say, a person supposed to be high ranking or elder, usually you take, you know, like chopsticks, and you put food in their plate, you know, to kind of like show respect and things like that. Of course, your personal chopsticks that you put in your mouth doesn't touch anything else except the food is in your plate. Things like that, that in cultures out here, sometimes you have to pay attention to, especially with the older generations and things like that. Here, I think more so in Asia than it is, say, back in the States, of course, or maybe less so where you guys, or where Dre was stationed and where you are, Inez. Are there any things like that, like any certain type of, I don't want to say dining rituals, anything like that you guys are aware of?
Well, one thing, and this exists in the States, what I'm about to say, but I don't think it's always practiced, is waiting for everyone to have their meal. If you're, you know, before you eat, no matter how long it takes. You know, I've gone out with friends in the States, and that has happened. And then I've gone out with friends where, you know, if the server brought his burger before mine, he just started eating. You know, so, but in Germany, almost across the board, no one ate until everyone had their meal. You know, and I don't think, I don't know if that's a European thing, but I mean, everywhere, you know, I went. I mean, that was across the board.
Wow.
And
yeah, I think
another, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was doing that to you. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Dre.
Another, speaking of servers, something that my wife noticed when because my wife is German, and when she first came to the States, you know, many years ago, is that servers in Germany will not take a plate until everyone is finished. She won't they, or he or she won't clear the table until everyone has finished their meal. And here, our server will walk by and just grab my plate, I mean, ask me if I'm finished or not, though. But they will grab my plate, even if there's 2 or 3 other people still eating. And that was something I never noticed.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, Ines, what you was gonna say?
Yeah, no, I think that what Dre is talking about, that is a European thing, because I noticed that in, like, in the UK, it's like that here in Switzerland, when if you're out with a group of people, everyone will start to eat at the same time. So, if they're having starters, everybody will wait, everybody will start at the same time. Same thing with, like you said, clearing the table. They'll wait till everybody's put their silverware down before they start clearing. Whereas you're right, in America, they're like, get you in, get you out, 20 minutes. We got other covers. Let's go. Where like in Europe, it's like, you're there, you're going to be there for, an hour. If you're with a bigger group, it's going to be longer. There's no rush. You're going to have each set course, and you take your time during it. So
are there anything like you don't start eating until the elder starts eating, or the person with the highest social status start eating first? Or is it impolite to do that? To start, I mean, not only finish.
I think no, but like if somebody, I haven't really noticed that, but I think everyone just kind of waits till everybody starts eating. Like, everybody has their plate, and then everybody kind of picks up and just starts eating once everybody else does. But if it's like a host, or like if somebody's hosting, maybe you wait till the host starts. So.
Yeah. In Germany, once everybody has their meal, everyone says bon appetit to each other, and that's it. And
you must say that.
Well, I don't think you have to say it.
No.
But it's commonly said. Like, I mean, even people walking by, other customers in the restaurant, even they'll walk by, as they pass your table and say bon appetit to you.
Oh.
So it's just that I think it just means have a good meal or enjoy your meal. Right. So everyone would say that, and you start eating. I've never been in a situation where in Germany that I had to wait for someone who was either the elder or considered on a higher social class than me.
Right.
But waiting for everyone to have their meal and you say bon appetit to each other, then you can eat. But there's something else I thought about when Arnez mentioned starters. One of the things I had to get used to, because of course, in the States, you can go to Chili's or TGI Fridays. You can order an appetizer kind of for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And you can and you can offer to other people, but that was something that kind of didn't exist. Well, I don't know if it where I was. If you ordered a starter, everyone kind of assumed it's for everybody.
Right.
And
why not?
Right. Yeah. Why not? I could think of some reasons why not.
This reminds me of the order of respect. How do you notice? Have you noticed any particular way people display respect? Here, of course, me living here in Asia, you have to be really respectful to elders and things like that. Maybe less so to where you guys were living or stationed. Are there any special things that you notice, or how young people should address elders and so forth? Because out here is really, really strong. Family is strong, and respect to elders until they're in their old age is held at a high level. And if you don't take up for example, your parents and stuff like that, you're frowned upon big time. Have you noticed anything like that?
I think for Germany, that exists only in the language, in like the words that you use. I don't. I remember the one time that I tried to learn German,
Mm-hmm.
I remember using certain words that was informal or formal, or the words that were formal is the words that you would use if you were speaking to, someone, like speaking to an adult or speaking to someone that was your elder.
Mm-hmm.
I think that exists mostly maybe in the way they speak to each other. So yeah, I'm not going to say it only exists in a language, but I think for sure exists in the language.
Hmm. Inez, anything you say?
Yeah. Do you know, I really, what I really appreciate here is they teach the children to greet adults by shaking the hand. So you go and you say hello and you shake it's just like a little shake. But it's so cute. And I love seeing like little kids do it to adults, it looks so formal. So that's one thing that they do to teach respect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there's others. Like, I think that there's something where you have to call somebody like Mr. But I think that would probably go, like you're talking about the language, because the language is very male feminine, isn't it? So I think when you're using the language, that really will distinguish the difference, and especially on how you're speaking with somebody. But I'm not really familiar with that just yet. So, but I've heard that's how it is kind of distinguished.
An example right now. I wish my wife was here.
Right?
I'm trying to think of an example, because I know, like, if you use the word "sie," which is SIE, I don't remember if you would use that word if you were talking to someone who is much older than you, or someone that you're not familiar with. Then if another word,
Mm-hmm.
that would kind of show your how well you know someone.
Right. If you go like my Brazilian friends, they tell me that when they're in Brazil, they call almost everybody by their first name most of the time. And when they're outside of even almost informal environment, people feel that calling people by my Brazilian friends tell me that calling people by their last name is more like a Western European type of thing, But
Really?
yeah, maybe they're a lot less, how would you say, tense about a lot of things, from fat shaming to showing openly showing affection in public, which is a big no-no out here in Asia. It's a big no-no out here in Asia. And I want to go back on, here there's a lot of respect given to elders, like I said, and also to teachers, but that is changing too, because it's like, the influence of the internet and all this, the freestyle ideas from the West coming in here into Asia is causing some conflict with different levels of society here. And right now is the time that it's like the cusp of that change here, where children are coming more and more rebellious here, but for the most part, they're still respectful to elders, especially personally, mother and fathers, but they still hold high reverence to teachers. What about things like social hygiene and stuff like that? I'm sure if you live in Japan, which they're really quite concerned about hygiene, like in the West, we like to, when I say the West, I'm talking about North America primarily. When you're eating dinner, you have your cell phone, you put your cell phone on the side of your table. In Japan, you do that in a lot of these restaurants. I think it's quite not a nice thing to do, because your phone may have some kind of whatever, and it may get into the food. They're a little bit more concerned about cleanliness there. But if you go to a place like India, a place that doesn't have all the comforts, the hygienic comforts of life, they have a whole different perception of that, and it affects like which hand you use to eat, because in India they use their hands to eat, and the other hand is for cleaning another location.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going with this?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
But Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Ines.
I was just wanted to say, I really, you were saying, what was it in Japan with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
mobile
yeah,
phones?
yeah.
They don't put that on the table.
Well, generally, no.
Is it, and it's just because, like, is it because it's rude, or you had
Well,
mentioned
okay.
because they thought some stuff would get into it, like electric or
No,
like
no, okay.
electromagnetic
Like
waves
for
or something? I don't know
example,
what.
I was a pretty nice sushi restaurant, right? And I was I put my phone next to my dish, and they said, no, don't do that because they're afraid that because the fish is fresh and all that. They're afraid that, and yes, that's admitted. Our cell phones may be one of the dirtiest things we have because we touch it everywhere.
Actually, I didn't think about any, like what you just said. I didn't even think about that. That your cell phone is, it's not like I don't wash down my cell phone. And I'm sitting there like we can go to dinner and I'll make my kids go wash their hands before, they come back to the table to eat. But then my son will take out a cell phone while he's eating or sit it right next to him. I never thought about that, it's almost useless to wash your hands.
Right.
You just forced me to learn something again, James.
No, but I've been in situations where when I'm with my Japanese casual friends, they will take it out and hold it over to the side and look at it, but never close to their meal. And I'm lucky I didn't make that kind of mistake. Things like that I notice, or Indian friend told me that like when you go to India and you eat with your hands, people they lick their hands after eating. I mean, it's like nobody would even think about you do that. If you do it in my aunts and uncles' house, you lick your hands, people think you're a fool, things like that. No, this, I know.
No, yeah, it's just, those are the kind of, I think that when you are able to kind of experience that, especially when people, and you have that, you have that there, and I'm assuming that you have that there in Taiwan, where it's just a different eating method, like, well, I don't know how like
no,
you guys set tables
generally it's quite westernized, but there's certain things that you don't, with your chopsticks. Like if you're gonna put some food in someone else's plate, you use it with the communal chopsticks and move it over there. And then, or you do not pass food from chopstick to chopstick.
Right.
Okay, it's equivalent of taking your fork and putting your fork on somebody else's fork, and but isn't
that kind of impossible with chopsticks anyway?
Oh no, it's
never mind.
Yeah,
it's a good rule though.
Yeah, there's these kind of tiny little things that it's hard to tell. I don't care what. It doesn't matter what country you come from. I mean, how much research can you do? But it's good to try to gather as much information as you can about these little tiny things in these cultures. And usually, we mentioned something about language just now. You guys mentioned something about language, how you show respect through language. And it is I think learning the language of your location that you're going to visit or stay a certain amount of time is very important, because when you learn about the language, it helps you, very quickly learn about the culture in the fastest way. And that's what I've seen, because I love learning languages. And the quickest way for me to learn about a culture is to learn about language, number one, and number two, history and stuff like that. That's what I found, as a invaluable asset to enjoy my stay or work in certain overseas locations. And that's how I think about it in the long term in many ways. Anything else you notice about dining or anything like that? Because I think dining is also a way of showing culture.
Yeah, I like, well, when you said dining and showing culture, and as November is next month, the first thing that pops in my head is Thanksgiving. And I bring it up because that's like the chance for me to show my non-American friends what Thanksgiving is about. But also it's a great excuse to get everyone around the table to kind of have a nice meal and enjoy the day together. But I think that in all cultures, doing that, having a meal together is the best way to get to know people and to learn more about, what's the similarities, what's the differences, and just to have a good time. It's good. That's maybe the universal I don't know, a universal rule. Get everyone around the table to eat, and you'll learn more about each other.
Yeah, having a feast, a family feast, and gathering around the table, I think that is universal, because I've witnessed that in, almost everywhere I went. When the family gets together, you have a meal and you talk and you catch up and yeah.
Yeah, it's so close.
Yeah,
You get two people fighting. So when it was dinner time, okay, okay, calm down, just have dinner. How about things like gift giving? How is any
Goodness.
are there any type of protocols that you guys have come across in receiving gifts or giving gifts, or what kind of gifts are totally off limits? Because we have a lot of gifts that out here that are just totally, you just don't give people, regardless, or anything like that. Because I'm gonna tell you guys a lot.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any. I don't know if there'd be like Swiss rules, like when it comes to gift giving, or, if you're supposed to, play the game where you're like, no, you don't accept it and then do accept it. I know when you mentioned gift giving, the first thing that comes to mind is the UAE, because Emiratis are very generous, and they will always be giving gifts. Always, all the time. If it could be it could be something from just like chocolates to
do they try to outgift each other?
Do you know what? Sometimes when I used to I used to have a colleague, and I remember her explaining to me around the graduation time, and her daughter was graduating. But then like everybody was graduating, there was like cousins, and and it was a very expensive time, because they were getting gifts for everybody, and then you wanted to make sure you kind of got the same kind of gift for your nephew that that was given to your daughter. I mean, so there was kind of that going on. And I think when it comes to accepting the gift, it would have to I think it depends on the situation. What you have to kind of know, what to accept, what not to accept. What does it really mean?
What kind of things you would not accept, or what situations you would not accept? Say, in the UAE in particular.
Yeah. I don't know. I never was really offered like, something where you wouldn't accept. Like, if it was, you always hear these stories about somebody getting offered a car, or, those were old stories. But like, you hear like someone worked for someone that was offered a car or something. But obviously nobody offered me a car, unfortunately.
Would it be a situation if someone offered you something that was really extravagant, obliged? Because, we feel
I think it depends. If it was something that was like super expensive, and I think it depends on your relationship with the person who's giving the gift to you, because then there's also the point where you don't want to offend them by not accepting the gift, because sometimes that's the way they show their affection, loyalty, appreciation. So I think you have to be careful and
not put yourself in a situation where you owe somebody. You feel you owe somebody something.
And that's something that's in like all cultures. Wouldn't you say? I mean, that's not just. Well, I just say that because like that did pop up as the UAE. People love the gifts, and they love the big packaging to make something. They could take something that was like this, like the little cord, wrap it up into a box, and then package it so that it looks amazing. So that when you see that it's just a little connector, you'd be like, "This is the best connector ever." So,
this is the best connector.
Yeah, it's all about presentation.
How about you, Dre? Anything?
No, while our nurse was talking, I was trying to think. I'm not really sure. So I don't think I can speak to that because I'm not really sure. I mean, I've given gifts to German friends, and I've received gifts from my in-laws and my wife's friends and friends of my own, but I don't know. What is acceptable and what's not. So I don't know. I don't think I can speak to that.
It is tied a lot to the
I can say
culture.
this, no one's ever offered me a car.
Yeah, I can say that again. You can say that again. No, no one on this side. You know, like we mentioned a little bit about, especially me, about how I feel language is a part of knowing the culture. Like, the number 4 in Chinese, 四, sounds like the Chinese 四, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds like the word for death in Chinese, right? So you never give gifts in the group of 4s. Living on the 4th floor is not a good idea. Like it's just like in the West,
That's the unlucky number.
yeah, because it's the language, or it's like the 13 that we have in the West, or there's certain things you don't do, like using a red marker to write a person's name. You know, here when people.
Why is that? Is that meaning what is like?
No, okay. This is kind of weird. This is kind of weird because red in the culture here is auspicious for like weddings and things like that. Okay. But it's also a symbolization of death in some situations. You probably heard stories about giving young children at Chinese New Year's a red envelope. That envelope is usually given by elders with money in it to give to the kids, for them to spend. But at the same time, you never give someone an envelope that is white. A white envelope is used for somber events like funerals. When someone passes away, you give them some money to help them out, and usually it's in a white envelope. These little tiny things that we have to pay attention to. Out here, we don't give people clocks as gifts, because clocks is also a symbolization of the passing of someone. These little type of things that I've learned out here to pay a lot of attention to. You never give anyone as a gift like a pair of shoes, because that means like also a symbolization of the passing of someone. If you do give someone a pair of shoes, they have to pay for it. Even 1 penny is enough, and I've seen it happen. People here will give someone, they'll see a nice pair of shoes in the market and they'll buy it, but when they give it to someone, that person has to give them something back making it as some kind of a financial exchange. Like 1 penny is enough.
Yeah.
Little tiny things like that, and it has a lot to do with this item's name or the close relation to a bad word that is negatively related to. These little things like that I just see in the cultures out here, but not much in the West. There's a lot of things that's in my mind. Like I think in where you are, Inez, like people don't mow their lawns on Sunday. I'm still trying to figure out why is that. This is something besides the quiet. There's something else about mowing your lawns on Sunday. And I think,
do you know what? Well, here Sunday is like the precious. It's the day off. And I totally love that. I think everybody should do it. Like there once upon a time in America, Sunday was kind of like the day off. And when I say day off, like everything is closed. The gas stations are still open if you're pressed for, like, if you need to go get milk or bread or something. But yeah, because Sunday is the day you're going to go out with your family, relax, hang out, do whatever you want to do. So I guess to hear somebody mowing their lawn would kind of ruin that fun. So that they're not going to allow that. But what I wanted to ask you, you were talking about the clock, giving somebody a clock for a gift, which that's not really
the ending of life.
Yes, so that's why you wouldn't do it.
Right. But you wouldn't know it. If you, for example, coming from Switzerland, where you guys make these wonderful clocks, you make these wonderful clocks, and you want to say, I'm going to give it as a gift to my Chinese partner in China when I visit him. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
You
that's
give it,
true.
Yeah, these little tiny things, and it's almost hard to try to tell people this before, because you never know what situations people will bump into, overseas and stuff like that. Really, really weird. And I think the list can be endless. And talking about endless, I don't want to. We're coming up here on an hour already. I just don't want to take anything from other people's lives over there. I know you guys got to do other things. Anything you want to add, Dre?
No, actually, I wanna ask you guys a question though.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of, we've talked about essentially all the ways Americans can be offensive in other lands. But have you guys, what do you guys, what is your assessment on where the locals in your area being forgiving for what we don't know, like for, when we are offensive and it's not, intentionally, it's just out of, we
naivety.
just exactly, naivety. There you go. I was going to say ignorance, but I didn't want to use that word.
Naivety is a good word to use. Okay. Ladies first.
Right.
Okay.
But because other than the example I gave you guys earlier, when the guy walked maybe 2 streets over to curse me out about using my blower on a Sunday. Other than that, normally people are forgiving and understanding. But what is your guys' experience with that?
I would say for me, yeah, if I had, I'm trying to think, like I said, my family's pretty loud anyway, and I still haven't had any complaints. And I mean, when I say loud, like we live on the top of we're on the 6th floor of an apartment building. And I used to always worry that people were going to complain about the kids running around, like the neighbors downstairs or people across the hall. And nobody's complained, which is good. But I think if they were, I think they would come to me first to say, like, okay, listen, that's not allowed. Don't do that. Can you keep your kids, like, we've got to work in the morning. I think that people would correct us. Or if we were to offend somebody. I can't think of any. I'm sure that's probably happened over the past year. I just can't think of a specific time. I know I've been out. Have I been? No, I was going to say, have we been shushed? Or we really haven't. People have yelled at my kids, like, told them to stop.
You think they have different standards though? Like if you are a local, they'll tell you right off the bat,
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So maybe they say, okay, these guys, they don't know what's going on. We get a little bit more of a range of forgiving range.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll tell you once, but if they have to tell you again, it'll probably be complaining. Like, they'll do something about it. Even right before we moved into this apartment, there was somebody that was moving out, and they had told my husband, oh, we're moving out because it's so loud. The people on the weekends, they're always having parties. And we moved in and we were kind of like, what? Like, there's like a couple of balconies where there's like people that maybe stay out past 10, but it's not like ragers, it's just people having conversation. And because it's so quiet, and after 10 o'clock, everything is like amplified. So it's not really big drama, but they felt the need to move out, because it was too crazy.
Well, every culture has a different tolerance level, and sometimes those tolerance levels are sometimes recalibrated when dealing with certain parts of people in their environment. Yeah, I can add something to that too. Before we get out the door here, because being so much different from the locals here, they almost expect people like me, or people who look like me, or people who sound like me, to actually make these mistakes. We almost expect it to. And it's another canned response to kind of like give us a little bit more range. And, it's good. And sometimes some, expats, they neglect that. They kind of like take advantage of that fact and do things that they later find out they shouldn't be doing, that, affects people in their environment, but they refuse to change. But the longer you stay, at least for me out here and where I'm at, you become part of the culture, and you are expected to actually become a local in many ways, which is cool. When they can accept you at that level, it becomes a two-way street. You're glad that people can accept you, the locals can accept you here, just like everybody else. But these are the rules that you also have to, and sometimes return certain favors and things like that. Because Mandarin Chinese is such a very strange language, you know, being tonal. Sometimes when we're using Mandarin to speak as expats, we don't sound local. And sometimes we end up saying some dumb things, but we're forgiven about it. And you know, that's a good note.
Yeah, they do things to understand for the most part, mostly.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you know, I'm getting, you know, we having rough communication issues here, and anyway, you know, we did the best we can, but I really appreciate you guys, you know, finding the time in your part of the world to come on and join us here in Expat Roundtables. You know, Dre, thanks a lot for joining us, and you know, you stay safe where you are, because there's a lot of things going on in your part of the world.
Actually, I feel I don't feel the threat though. I feel really safe. I know, you know, I know a lot of things are happening in the U.S. You know, but actually, I don't feel that here. I actually feel kind of settled.
Okay, well, that's good. And when your website gets up, again, you know, let us know, and we put that inside the roundtable. Okay.
I will most definitely do that.
Thanks a lot. And Inez, you know, we'll be back at this again, hopefully under better technical conditions, because right now Google Hangout is acting really, really naughty. Inez, thank you very much for joining us this hour.
Yeah, thanks for having me, James. I just keep, my kids just came home, so if you hear a lot of background noise, that is not technical difficulties. That is, that is the kids. I can hear them. They're all trying to whisper and be quiet. That's why I moved my thing so you don't see any bodies going around in the back walking
it's okay.
around. But yeah, so it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this. This has been great. So thanks for having me on today.
Thanks a lot. And, you know, thanks everybody for watching and listening to the podcast, you know, and we'll be back. We'll announce the time later. And hopefully the technical demons will put them to sleep. Well, for the Expat Roundtable, I'm James here from Taipei, Taiwan. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.